Thank you, Philip sir. I think some of you might be knowing Philip sir. Have you seen him before? Yeah. Okay. So he is the HOD of our English department. So if you want to correct some of your language skills, especially with respect to cats, speak to him. So he finishes generally his verbal in about 45 minutes or so and gets very close to 100 percentile. He misses by that 0.02, 0.03 times the 100 percentile. Probably because of his age, they don't want to give him the 100 percentile, I guess, right? Yeah. Because somehow there should be some parameter they would have set. If anybody is beyond certain age, don't give that fellow 100 percentile. That's how he misses it. Speak to him to correct yourself because like he didn't introduce himself. I think quite a few of you know me before, right? Because I've been regularly dealing with you, so you might be knowing me. Okay, before I introduce them as to who are they, what they have done, what they're poised to do it in the future, before I take it through, let me just introduce as to how they have done this before, or like how their journey was, what are the statistics that they look like. You can just watch the presentation. It will tell you all it now as to how they did. This is the first stage selection. All it now for the IIMs, in case, because I know that some of you might not be aware of this, it's good to know that, okay, what it takes to get it there. Right, the first stage, quite a bit of weightage is given to your CAT score, your 10 score, your 12 score, your graduation score, sometimes work ex, sometimes your master, diversity, etc., etc. This is the first stage. First stage is what? That's how they shortlist for GDP. There's another stage. Alright, final selection is done in a different way. Alright, this is how it is done. See, for some people, the grad scores are less. Alright, now, so I have a classic example in terms of Nikita. Alright, Nikita's 10th and 10th, 12 scores are so good. They're really good. Right? I mean, most of them. Nidhi, I guess, yeah. Nidhi's 10th and 12th scores were so good. She got a call from IIM Indore. I was wondering that, like, how did she end up getting a call? Every year it happens with many people. Because, like, if you look at it, IIM Indore, typically they're both their Mumbai campus and their Indore campus. They give 20% weightage for CAT and 36 for 10th and 40% for 12th and nothing for graduation. Assume that you have a very good 10th and 12th score. You don't have to really bother too much about CAT. Get a decent score, which means 90 percentile. We end up getting an Indore call. That's the reality. That's what we have seen this year. And this is what we've been seeing for the last 3 years. It's not this year. Last 3 years, their selection criteria has been that. Now, how do I get to know about this selection criteria? Somewhere already now towards in the next 2 or 3 months, every IIM start keep posting their selection criteria. It is not a secret. Alright, it is not a secret. You will get to know how do they select. What is that first stage is going to be look like, second stage is going to look like. Alright, now as and when I get some information in the workshop, if I get some time, I'll be doing some workshops with you during that time. I will share that information. Right, but this is how the summary looked like. Alright, now which are some IIMs give weightage to graduation, some IIMs do not give, some IIMs do not give weightage to the 10th score. Alright, now that's how it looks. Now, if you want to get into IIM Ahmedabad, naturally, already know the CAT score plays a very vital role. 70% weightage. That's a huge weightage. Alright, yeah. So that's how it typically looks. Therefore, whatever the background that you come from, good, alright, no education background, not so good education background, alright, good work experience, not so good work experience, everybody stands a chance in one of the IIMs. You cannot say that, okay, I want to get into only this IIM, because that's also determined by some bit of history. There is a bit of history to that. Right? But am I poised to get into the top IIMs or top P schools? Yes. Irrespective of your background, everybody can get in there. Alright, everybody can get into one of the top P schools. Alright, top IIMs. Alright, so that's the first stage. Now, how does the second stage look like? It gave a broad view. Alright, that's an overview. If you look at the second stage, this is the history. This side is history, which has been already accounted, more or less accounted. Your CAT scores are done by them. Now, highest weightage is given to your PIs. Your personal interviews become important. The intention to do MBA. Alright, what is that? Alright, now your core look like. Alright, now interviews is more about your core. Who are you? Alright, and why you want to do a management program. Alright, now the core is about your characteristics. Alright, it's more to do with that, your intentions. Alright, now how you are looking into the future. Right, that becomes very vital. Alright, now that's your PI. If you look at their PI experience, it's more to do with the core. Alright, rather than trying to help you to understand what is your academics, etc., etc. That's the secondary part. Firstly, they want to understand you, who are you and why you need such program here. So what do you want to do in the future? Right? It's more about that. So that's your PI and your essay evaluation. Writing becomes an important skill, which Philip sir will take you through in the greater details once you are done with your CAT preparation. Right? There is no less of GD. There is not too much of GD except in IIM Shillong and IIM Kozhikode. These are the only 2 IIMs which had the GD in the older IIMs. Right? Otherwise, there is no GD. It is more about the writing skills, what is being assessed, along with the PIs, the weightage for the PIs. This becomes a history. Therefore, the final selection, the CAT score becomes 25%, 30%, etc. in the final selection. Initially, it may look like 70%, 60%, etc. Right? But finally, it turns out like this.
If you look from B's perspective, even in the selection, it's very relative, it's very academic oriented. If you look at the B, even in the first round, 20%, 20%, 10%, and the work, already if you look at it, about 60% is nothing to do with the CAT preparation. That's how the B does their selection. Alright, now they have the various, alright, there is some industry requirement is such, therefore B does such selection. Even in the final selection, when you look at the final selection, it's a similar thing. Alright, they give only 30 to 40% weightage. This rest of the goes to your academics, work X, etc. If you again look at this, 60% goes back to the same part. Right? So therefore P is little different. Unless my academics are good, my work X, I have a decent work experience. That's for P, not true for every other IIM. Alright, yeah, so that's a little bit of background. Every IIM has their own style of selection, but everybody stands a chance. If you look at that matrix, you'll understand that everybody stands a chance. Alright, everybody stands a chance somewhere. Alright, so that's how the story looks like. If you look at the last year, not this year results, we are still collating where are we at Bangalore. If you look from the Bangalore perspective, this is the final selections. The last year the final selections look like this. IIM Ahmedabad, about 16 of our students, only the Bangalore students, I'm not talking about T.I.M.E students as whole, I'm talking about T.I.M E Bangalore students. Right? These are the numbers which look like. Some of you will be a part of it in the coming year. This year results we are collating, we'll share it once we have those results in place. This is how the numbers look like. These are the final conversion, not the calls. Calls were a little higher than this. Total conversions were this, but the heads are this. Therefore, each head goes on to get about 4 calls on an average. Heads are different. How many heads got into the IIMs are 296. If you look at the top B schools like XLRI, and if you include the SPJ, MDI, NITI, IIT Bombay, you include the top B schools, then it goes up to 500. The number about 500 of our students get into the top B schools. Right? It is now because some of the people would leave IIM Indore and join at times SPJ or XLRI. Right? So therefore, if you look at all the top calls, it would go in the range of 500 from T.I.M E Bangalore alone. Right? So that's how the numbers look like. I'll introduce each one of them, and then before they speak, I'll introduce them.